I have decoded this ayah a little bit for you, so just to help you understand. And if you remember, last thing we did in this was la tarkabunna tabakan an tabak. You remember this discussion? Everything goes in stage after stage, stage after stage. Remember? याद है ये कि भूल गए?
जी जी बिल्कुल याद है जी।
Zabardast.
याद है।
Zabardast. So everything is stage in the stage, and we said that we are in this place right now. And you just saw that I was talking about Hayat Ad-Duniya. So let's try to understand how Allah defines Hayat Ad-Duniya. What is Hayat Ad-Duniya? That's what we are going to discuss. And that ayah defines your entire life in such a beautiful way. Listen to this carefully. The first word of this ayah is i'lamu. I'lamu is a fail. It's a command. It means no, Jan lo in Urdu, right? No, right? In annama hayatud dunya, that means that the life of this world, and there is a gem behind the word dunya. Dunya actually means the lowest. Hayatud dunya literally means the lowest life, right? So Allah is giving you a command that no, Jan lo, that the hayatud dunya, and let's try to visualize what is hayatud dunya. Let's say this curve is hayatud dunya. Right? This is hayatud dunya. You start your life when you're an infant. That's where it starts. Right. And then in the next part of this ayah, Allah explains everything about Hayatul Dunya, what stages you actually go through. Latarkabunna tabakan an tabak. What are those stages you go through? The first stage, you're infant. Then Allah says that you go through la'ibun, play. When you're a toddler, when you become a little bit bigger, all you do in your life is play. That's important for you. Then walahwan, you become kind of junior. Everything is amusement for you. You find entertainment everywhere. You go to school, you want to have fun with friends, you want to watch a nice video, you want to play with nice toys. You get the sense of the world a little bit and you find amusement in it. Then wazinatun, you become a teenager. Then you want to look good. Then you want to basically do whatever it takes for you to actually feel good about yourself. It's an idealistic age, and you really want to understand, show off with your friends that how cool you look. Fashion becomes important to you. Ideal celebrities become important to you. Adornment, zinatun, banna savarna, it becomes very important to you. But tafakhurun bainakum, and then boasting. Then you go into the graduate life, for example. You do degrees, somebody does masters, somebody does PhD, somebody bachelor, somebody just college, and then start to compare yourself each other. I did this when I was in school, he was like that and I was like this, and I did this masters and he did this bachelor's, and so on and so forth. That comparison and boasting starts to come into the picture, right? That's what Allah is explaining. This is how Allah is defining the hayat ad-dunya. And you're going through this journey in your life, every one of us, one way or the other. And then you become a fully grown adult. وَالتَّكَاثُرٌ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَأَوْلَادِ. Then you start to compete with each other. In what? Amwal, wealth, and awlad, children. How many children do you have? What do they do? My son has done PhD. Oh, I bought 5 houses. That's a brand new Tesla I've bought. Right? Amwal and awlad become important to you. And from this point on, what are you doing? You're looking back this entire journey and you tell yourself, man, I have achieved so much in my life. I have done so much in my life and achieved it. It's fantastic. I'm super hard worker. I deserve lots. Not realizing the fact that Allah is giving you all of that. And Allah has already defined that life and this definition in the Quran 1400 years ago. Right? Then Allah says something very, very beautiful. Allah says, Kamasalil ghaisi a'jabal kuffara nabata. It is like an example. Kamasali means it's like an example. You know the harf of jar fi'il ka means like. Masal, masli means example. So it's like an example of masli and ghaisi is a mudaf ilayh. It's a masli ghaisi example of rain, right? And a'jab al kuffara nabata means impresses or pleases the tiler, the farmer who is actually doing some farming and trying to grow some crops. What does it mean? It actually means Allah is comparing your life with the growth of a plant, a crop. Let me tell you how. So when you are an infant at this point in time, what is farmer doing? He's sowing the seed, right? Then you become a toddler and the rain happens. Allah gives out rain. Allah breaks the seed into a small plant that starts to grow. Farmer doesn't do it. Allah does it. Summa shakakna al-arda shakka. Then we opened up the earth and then plants start to come out. And then farmer becomes happy and it's all enjoyment for him. And then they become young crop. They start to grow, right? Little bit more every single day, little bit more. Then they become lush green field, just like your teenage life. It looks beautiful, right? And the farmer is super happy about it. And then they become mature. They're stable. They're standing straight, all independently. You don't need to give them support, but they're still not giving you that return. And ultimately, that field turns into what? Fully grown crop, and it gives you the fruit, whatever it is, whatever you're growing. And it gives you the return of your efforts. That's what farmer is thinking. He's looking back at the crops that, hey, this is how I started, and this is where I have come to. And look what I have achieved. But Allah is saying it's like an example of a farmer trying to sow the seed and being very happy about it. But then what happens? Then Allah says, Summa yahiju fatarahu masfaran. That means then you see it drying. Then you see it dry and turn yellow. Allah is so specific here. Don't you see the plants turning yellow before the fall? You do. That's how. I mean, look at outside. Autumn is coming in, and you will see plants turning yellow. And then what happens? How does it relate to our life? What do we get? We become senior adults, don't we? Plants turn yellow, we turn white. Right? Allah gives us white hair. And actually, Allah talks about white hair in the Quran, which I will tell you in a few seconds. Right? That's where your life is also trying to go down. You were on the top notch position, and now you're coming down, just like the crop. And then Allah says, Summa yakunu hudman. They become debris. They dry up, they fall down, and they become complete debris, dust. What happens to us, guys? We become debris, don't we? We also become debris. So Allah has compared our life in this ayah with the crop, with the plant. And they say, Allah says in the Quran, uh, if you those who ask what are the signs of Allah, look around you. This is looking around you. Look at the crops, look at the plants, look at the trees. And this is the wisdom we want to get out of the Quran, that how it actually maps to our life. Right? And you see so much similarity Allah has given us in the process of how things work in this life. And this entire bell curve that you see here, this is how your life looks like. If somebody asks you what's the visual picture of your life, this is the bell curve. Okay? That's what this ayah is telling you. Now, on top of that, there are few things that we should consider. Go back to so last part of this ayah first before I go there. Then let's say fil akhirati azabun shadidun. In the akhirah, in the hereafter, there is a severe punishment. Wa maghfiratun minallahi, and forgiveness from Allah. Wa ridwanun, and pleasure from Allah. And last part of this ayah say wama hayat ad-dunya illa mata'il ghurur, meaning that this worldly life is nothing but the entertainment of delusion, entertainment of deception. So mata il ghurur is a mudaf ilayh. Mata is entertainment or adornment, amusement, and ghurur is basically deception or delusion. When somebody's maghrur, What do we say? I mean, when somebody becomes maghrur, what is he doing? He's actually deluded of the fact, he's actually deceptive of the fact that Allah has helped him to achieve a status that he has achieved. A teacher teaching to the students in the class, and the class tops the exam, the teacher becomes proud. He is doing ghurur, not realizing the fact you taught the class, but if your student didn't put effort in actually really getting the result out of the exam, you would actually not achieve it. So there's so many dependencies. Any person who's maghrur would ignore that. He's deceptive of the fact. He's gone delusional. That's why it's called maghrur. Right? So Allah is saying this Hayat Ad-Dunya is completely entertainment of delusion. So what you are in is a delusion, and it's very entertaining. Right? You enjoy it, and it's so entertaining for you that you completely forget the fact that this is just temporary. That's this ayah. It's just one ayah talking about. Now, there is another ayah that connects with this ayah very beautifully in the Quran. But before I go there, I want to put a question to this group. Where do we think we stand today? Where are we on this curve? Kya khayal hai? Any thoughts?
وتكاثر في الأموال والأولاد.
We are somewhere here, right?
Yes.
So where are our children?
Toddlers.
Teenagers.
Yes. My son, I
Ages.
have a son who's somewhere around here, right?
Uh,
I have a son who's somewhere around here, this part, and then another son who is somewhere around this part. He's 12, almost turning into a teenage. Some of our kids would already be here.
Yes.
Talk to our senior cousins, their kids would be doing medicine and all of that somewhere around here, right? Every single one. Look around. I mean, look at our ancestors, parents, or senior khalas and khalus and whoever. I mean, my dad is somewhere around here. He's not even a senior adult. He's, mashallah, uh, quite here, right? Many of us. The problem is, guys, we never get to visualize our life like this before. We don't, because we don't understand the Quran, and because we don't try to get the hikmah and the wisdom out of the Quran, we never get to analyze where are we in our life, and we're so indulged in this part, completely oblivious of the fact that we will become like this. I discussed this with my son yesterday. He's right here, and I asked him, Rohan, do you think you will ever become like Dada? And I mean, at this age, he cannot comprehend that. At this age, he cannot comprehend that at one time, one day, he will be here. And I remember then when I was this age, and I'm sure all of us, we never thought about it. My father never thought about it, that he would be like this in this age. But everyone, every single one goes through this same cycle. We know that repeatedly. We have seen that off and on, off and on. And now Allah gives us example, such a beautiful example of this crop. Whenever you go out, look at a tree, remember this. When you water a plant, remember this. When you drive through a very nice scenic route with mountains and lush green forests on it, remember this. All of these are signs that Allah is saying, وَمَا حَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعِ الْغُرُورِ. This is all delusion. Okay? It's just a teaser of what you could potentially get in Jannah, much better than that. Okay? That's one aspect that we should keep in mind. This is beautiful ayah. There's another ayah that I mentioned. Now this ayah, this one is in Surah Hadith, ayat number 20, the one that I've just discussed. There's another one. Uh, this one is in Surah Rum. And check this out. Focus your attention on this side. Now, when you are in this phase of life, now tell me, when you are born, are you weak or strong? Are
Weak.
you weak? You're weak, right? So you're super dependent, right? So Allah says you're weak. Allah uses the word da'fin. Allahu allazi khalaqakum min da'fin. Allah, the one who created you from weakness. Min da'fin, jar majroor. Everyone should see that. Jar majroor. From weakness. Now, your state at this point is that you are just born. You're so weak that your bones are so sensitive. You can't hold your head. Your skull is super soft. In fact, in the front part of your head, you see something very, very soft like a foam. Your skull is not developed. You're not even able to control your own backbone to actually sit or take your own body weight. You're supremely weak. And Allah tells you that in the Quran, Allah created you from that weakness, completely from that weakness. Was seed not weak? It was. So we were. Now, what about this part? Are you strong or weak on this part? What do you think?
Strong.
Started getting weak.
This part, the green one,
The green, yeah, it started getting
Okay, that
strong.
is strong.
strong.
That
You're
is
going up
strong.
the hill, right? You're going up the hill. ثم جعل من بعد ضعف قوة. Then after he created way after it from weakness the quwwa, the strength. Allah says then after that he created strength and he gave that strength to you. He never said in this ayah that he created the strength in you. He just said he created the strength. Now it's up to Allah to whom he gives and whom he doesn't give. There are kids who are born and they die, never get the strength. There are kids who are born and they are disabled. There are kids who are born, they are not fully grown mentally, physically, in whatever shape and form. They have some condition of whatsoever. It's up to Allah. He created the quwwah, the strength. It's up to him who he wants to give. I mean, we are the blessed ones that Allah gave us all the quwwah, everything. We're normal, right? So Allah is saying that I created you from weakness, then I created uh, after weakness the strength. And now, what happens at this point, guys? What is this? Are you becoming stronger or weaker?
Weakness again.
Then Allah says, Summa ja'ala min ba'di quwwatin. After the quwwat, I created weakness again. Same word, but in nasab. Previously it was jar, da'fin. Now it's nasab. He created weakness again, but he adds another thing. Was shaybatan. Shaybatan means white hair, gray hair, the grayness of your head. Now, what is Allah telling you? Do you see the level of detail Allah is giving you in the Quran? Right? Allah is telling you that when you start to see your white hair, know that this is where your weakness is going to start. You're starting to go weak from this point on. Okay? Of course, not considering the edge cases where kids are born with white hair. In normal life circumstances, you would see you will grow, and I do not think we are here. I think we are here. I mean, I have loads of white hair on my head in my beard. I have my white hair becoming prominent, so I'm not here anymore. I would be here when I'm maybe 35, but now I'm over 40, so I'm somewhere around here. That's what I think. So we are going down. I do not think I can play games as better as I could. I'm not as fast bowler as I could before. I mean, Allah knows I used to bowl pretty fast, but now I can't. I mean, I'm losing my skills. So things happen, right? So we are somewhere around here on the curve going down towards the weakness. And Allah has mentioned that. And we start to see these things. We still maybe we're still not senior adults, but we're somewhere around here. And Allah has told us that I've created you from weakness. Then after weakness, I created the strength. And then after strength, I created the weakness again, along with the grayness of your hair. Okay? Then last part of this ayah, Allah says, يَخْلُقُ مَن يَشَاءُ. He creates whatever He wants. He creates whatever He wants. وَهُوَ عَلِيمُ الْقَدِيرُ. He is all-knowing and all-powerful. This is a jumla ismiya. You should be able to detect it, guys. So huwa is a mubtada, alimu is khabar number 1, al-qadiru khabar number 2. Right? That's your life. This is your life. Take a screenshot. That's your life. Okay? And every single day, try to map where you are. Every single day, you move one pinch forward, one pinch forward, one pinch forward, one pinch forward. And if any one of us is in a delusion that we will not be here, consider it again. Allah gives us this detail in quite a lot of, elaborated form in the Quran in multiple ways. So this ayah is a very, very beautiful ayah from Surah Hadid, ayah number 20. All of us should try to read it with the translation, try to decode it, try to memorize it, keep it at hand, tell it to your kids, to your spouses, to whoever you think you need to tell, because this is the view everyone needs to know. And this image should always be in your life. This bell curve, you should always be considering where you are on it. Right? Of course, goes number one for me and then anyone else. But the reason I brought that ayah to decode with you a little bit, it's an advanced ayah. There are things very advanced in it which you cannot do yet. But the initial part that we have just done, the khabar and the multiple khabars and the mubtada and all of that, it should give you that insight into how you can actually start to understand the structure. That is the list of stages Allah has given you of your life. لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ. Aren't these the stages? The weak, the infant, the toddler, the junior, the teenager, and so on. These are the stages, right? You go stage by stage, stage by stage, stage by stage. And what you have done is, on the previous slide that we saw, the worldly life, the green box, you have actually zoomed into that box and you've tried to understand how the latarkabunna tabakan and tabak applies inside that box. And there are other boxes. The box of the grave.
लतर का बुनना तबकन सूरह इंशिकाक के अंदर भी है. सूरह इंशिकाक.
Correct. Correct. वहीं से बिल्कुल. Right. So that मैंने जब आपको वो present की थी slide, I told you that you can actually do an entire PhD on this ayah alone. You can spend your entire life just studying that ayah in various stages. Now, if just within the teenage or within the young adult phase, you can zoom into this phase and see what are the stages. It never ends. There's a macro view and there's a micro view. If you remember, we discussed that, right? So I hope it helped help you understand not just the grammatical structure. So you're talking about a mubtada here. Annama Hayat Ad-Duniya. This is mubtada. It's a little complex mubtada because of the ma, but I'm telling you this is mubtada. There is an invisible is after that, right? Know that the life of this world, not of this world, the worldly life is play, la'ibun, wa lahwun, amusement, wa zinatun, adornment, wa tafakhurun bainakum, boasting between yourselves. Bainakum means between yourselves. Wa takasurun fil amwali wa awladi, and competition in the wealth and the children. And then Allah does not even bother to discuss this part in this ayah. Just completely skipped it. So irrelevant. If any one of us are in this part, which I believe we are, I mean, we're already irrelevant, right? Allah has not discussed that part. So we actually fall into this part where Allah is saying that after the kuwa, I have created weakness again. So we're going towards that, right? Hope that helped. Inshallah.
It was amazing, Darsab. It was amazing, honestly.
Amazing lecture, Fahad. Amazing lecture. MashaAllah.
Darsab,
May Allah bless you.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, Darsab. Can you possible share this with us, this slide, please?
Of course, Waqas bhai, of course, video भी मैं upload कर दूंगा, share भी कर दूंगा, inshallah. The whole objective of this is, देखें, Quran, हम लोग अरबी सीखने नहीं आते, we are students of Quran. Okay, so whatever we are learning, we need to also learn how to apply it to the Quran to get that wisdom out. And it requires study. I mean, you need to listen to lots of things, I mean, not every one of us will become Yasir Qadhi or Numan Ali Khan. We can't. I mean, they have spent lives there. But whatever we can do, I mean, we should be able to do enough to get out of it. So my job as a student of Quran is to learn from different types of teachers and try to connect the dots. So one of my ustad, for example, explains this ayah, the other one nobody explains. So I discovered this myself while reading the Quran. Just wondered what it's saying, because the word is repeated again and again. Da'fin, da'fin, da'fin. There's a special mudaf. There's a special mudaf. There's a harf of jar. What's going on here? So then you dive deeper into it, and I've not given you everything about it. Many times when min and special mudaf is used, it can be used in a meaning that way after or right after, way after or right after. For example, Allah created min dafin from weakness, summa jalla min ba'di, way after that or right after that. It could also give you that meaning. Those types of curiosities come up in your mind when you know the language. And then you go on the research drive on how actually you can find the wisdom out of it. And because I'm a visual thinker, I try to visualize this and share it with you, because I think that's where I understand best. And I think my biggest success would be that some of you, inshallah, start to produce that wisdom as well. And we have sessions where we come together and share what we have learned, which is hidden in the Quran. Okay. Inshallah, I will share that. Jazakallah for your patience and listening. I will share that with you, and we can have further discussion on this if we want in the later classes. Okay.